Hello and welcome to Trader Chat. We've had a hell of a busy weekend in Navan and mainly Cheltenham. Lots of things to talk about. We're just recording in the midst of Charles Burns sending two horses over to Plumpton. One of them has been beaten. Who knows how the other one go? Although we might know by the end of this show. We have World Cup to talk about in Arsenal. Flynn's Arsenal have only extended their lead at the top, whilst Newcastle, I think a team that we've been sort of extolling in terms of potential top four, top six credentials. Well, they've bolstered them as well. So we have a lot to get through. We are also going to bring you a little bit at the end of the show of some of the star shops, all of the star shops actually, promoting the World Cup, which, whatever your take on it, is only a few days away. How are you, Flynn?
I'm not too bad, thank you. I had a bit of an action-packed weekend. If anyone read Simon Knott's blog or followed me on Twitter, they would have seen. Thursday night, I've just bought a fairly new car, 19 plate, driving down to Cheltenham or up to Cheltenham with all the gear. Got to around Buckinghamshire on the M25. Car breaks down, so that was a good start. That had to be recovered. I had to get collected by the top-notch Star Sports on course staff, who thankfully drove up from Bristol to get the equipment and then to take me to Cheltenham. So thank you to them. Went to Cheltenham on Friday, then got a bit of food poisoning on Friday night, or a stomach bug or something like that. Was sick all Friday night, all through the night, and then was a non-runner for Cheltenham on Saturday. I'm still feeling a bit iffy now, actually. So if I do have to make a runner halfway through Trader Chat, I do apologise. But yeah, a bit of an action-packed weekend for me, but that was on a personal note as opposed to just the action in terms of sport. But there was good sport in action as well. And I think a good place to start, racing-wise, would probably be sprint through Cheltenham starting on Friday.
Yeah, let's go ahead. So we had a massive drifter in the Greatwood Hurdle running accordingly. We had Mouse Morris nearly have a well-backed Irish winner in the feature on the Saturday, but it all began on the Friday.
It did indeed. So just to spin through a few races, I'll just pick out a few. The opening race was won by Gavin Cromwell and Sweet Will. This horse actually caught my attention because it was very well backed. I actually had a look this morning to see when it was, but it was a long time ago. And I think they tried to pull a bit of a coup off. I remember it being well backed when it won at 13-2, won by about half a length. So they've obviously done a fair bit of winning with this horse now, and it was a good performance in the first race. That wasn't a great result for us. Just others to pick out from the first day. Just make sure I've got a one on here. Yeah, I have. So unanswered was another one who was a unanswered prayers. That was for Chris Gordon. That was a very well back winner into 9-4. Magic Dancer was fairly easy to back, to be honest. They all wanted to be with Ballyandy in this race. So Magic Dancer wasn't a bad result, but it was good to see Kerry Lee getting on the board. And then the one that we probably need to talk about from the Friday is Hermes Alem, who won by 9 lengths in the Ballymore Novice Hurdle. I thought this was really impressive, you know. I know we can get carried away with some of these Nichols novice hurdlers in recent years, Brave Man's Game being an obvious one. And it looks like this one is probably going to go down the shallow hurdle route, as Nichols likes to send most of his good ones there. But just an interesting one to take forward. Now, 9-1 for the Ballymore Hermes Alem. Obviously, if Facile Vega goes to Supreme route, potentially American Mike might go up in trip, and it might leave that Ballymore wide open for Hermes Alem. And I thought it was really, really impressive the way he just ground them all down, goes from the front. And I like the way he did it, Johnny. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I was a bit annoyed. I had a busy kind of week, and I don't think I had a bet on Friday at Cheltenham, and I was watching as this race was approaching. I really didn't like Willie Mullins' horse stepping back up in trip. I thought he was going to be ridden to get home, and I thought it was going to be questionable for him. But then he did come into sort of he was 6-4. He was quite weak on the exchanges if you did want to lay him. And Hermes Allen, I think he just wanted to be on him the whole way. I guess the thing with these novices is there's probably almost like a prejudice against non-Irish trained novices at this time of year when you think like, oh, the Irish will just sort these races out. Maybe they won't. Maybe this horse actually is very good, and he looked spectacularly good here. I've no doubt Briscoe is nowhere near Willie Mullins' best novice, but this horse is definitely good.
It was a funny old market because talking about the price of the Briscoe, it was around 3 on the exchanges.
Yeah.
And then we started laying it, and people were wanting to take 13-8. We were going 6-4. And I think we actually went 11-10, and there was even evens in the ring at one point. It got to around 208 on the exchanges. And then around 5 minutes before the off, it went completely the other way. And then all the money was for Hermes Alem, because Hermes Alem was around 11-4. We had a good bit of 11-4 that. So the real late money wasn't for Briscoe. It was for the others in the race. One to take forward would be Music Drive for me. I know that people think he's been a bit disappointed, but I think he's one that's going to run in a lot of these type of races and probably end up in the Albert Bartlett. So do keep your eye on Music Drive, who's probably going to end up over further distance than this. But Hermes Alem, 9-1 for the Ballymore. And that was the first day. We just need to talk about the last race very quickly. Bit of a disheartening one for us, really. Just at the off, we had a punter come up and ask for €500 each way. The winner of the last at 25 to 1. I believe he's involved in the ownership of the horse. He was trying to get on down the line, trying to take 33, and he eventually got to us, and they're about to jump. I said, "We're 25s." He said, "Can I have a monkey each way?" I said, "Yep, it's fine, no problem." And it was just one of those where, even though it only won a head, it looked like it was going to win at least a head the whole way round, really. So it wasn't the most inviting watching. Left us very behind on the Friday. And then going into the Saturday, obviously I was on my bed at this stage and not at Cheltenham. But just to recap a few of these, Scriptwriter, who was one of my horses to follow, Johnny, when we did trade chat a couple of weeks ago for the Triumph Hurdle, won the Triumph Trial at 4 to 1. Thought it was quite impressive, and I think some of the quotes at the moment from the Triumph are actually a little bit disrespectful, to be honest. You can still get 25 to 1 out there. We're in there at 18 to 1, which is still fair. But I thought he did absolutely nothing in front. Milton Harris is very good with these juveniles, and I thought he beat a decent horse in Perseus Way, who was kind of well back late on Perseus Way and finished 2.25 lengths behind him. But I thought Scriptwriter was very, very good there. Very disappointing run from the Nichols favourite, but Scriptwriter would be one to take out of it. Banbridge was very good in the 145, well back late on into 11 to 8 favouritism. Will that one go down the Arkle route, or will it go a little bit further? If you're looking at the Arkle, you're looking at 12 to 1. If you are looking at the Turners, you're looking at 10 to 1. So they think that there's still better novice chasers that are going to be out there. But I thought it was pretty professional from Banbridge.
He was good, yeah. He's a horse I've followed a long time. I remember backing him one day in Roscommon. I think I backed him at Cheltenham last year. He's really coming good over fences. Pretty solid form as well in that race. Even the likes of Soul Pretender was well beaten. Banbridge, he jumps well. So you mentioned Scriptwriter. The juvenile division is going to be interesting. I think Cougar honing down Royal could be very, very good. So keep an eye out for him as well.
Okay, so a few decent juveniles coming out this weekend. Just to touch on the big race, GA Law was pretty well backed into 5 to 1. Did our money on the places here because you look 5 to 1, 5 to 1, 15 to 2, 8. So not great on the places, even though Stolen Silver wasn't in the picture come the end of the race. Good to see the jackpot, the Scoop 6 rollover, the bonus race. He managed to pick out the winner here. I think that was in a syndicate, so they got a good few quid, about 300 grand between them. So that was the big race. One more just take out the Saturday would be Queen's Gamble from the last race. It was very, very impressive in the bumper. Interested to see. I don't think we'll have the bumper of that. Oh, we do actually see whether she's in the betting for it. Can't see her in the betting, but it may just be that she's not been added yet. So I'll go through and take a look at that afterwards. But Queen's Gamble was probably just one to take forward. It was very impressive for the Sherwood yard. So that was the Saturday. Just very quickly on the Sunday, then we'll move on to some of the Irish stuff from the weekend. But haven't got much to say about the new Vinegar race. He just did what he had to do at 1 to 10. Probably see him again in the Tingle Creek, I'd imagine. I like to move it. It was a good weight carrying performance in the Greywood. Was a fantastic ride from Santos and Davis. He's probably my favourite jockey out there at the moment, to be honest. I think he's riding with such confidence. He never gives up on one, and I just like his style. So a good victory for Nigel Twister Davis yard, who obviously love to have winners at their local Cheltenham. Was a decent result for us in the books. We're very happy with that one. Gin Coco, obviously not a great result there if that one was to go in, but that came second. And just one more to pick up from the Sunday would be the Supreme Trial. For Fennell Cross was pretty decent here. Looks a real stayer. I'm not sure we'll go right to the top, but could be one for some decent races down the line. Springwell Bay was pretty well backed on course at 2 to 1. I think we laid an 8,000 to 4 on the pitch. Fennell Cross was a decent result, so we were pretty happy with it. We came out just up after expenses and stuff on the weekend, and we had a decent weekend in the office. So nothing to complain in regards to Cheltenham. But was there anything that you wanted to touch on from your side of the Irish Sea?
Yeah, good to see John McConnell having the winner, as you mentioned. The Irish Sea, I thought Hollow Games was very good. He jumped brilliantly. I suppose the racing was just a little bit disappointing. Willie Mullen started pulling out his horses because he thought the ground was too quick. And I really think it's difficult for the racetracks here because it's just hasn't rained enough all year. So it's still kind of summer soft. And Willie Mullins made some fairly aggressive calls there, the likes of Fernie Hollow and so on. That was a very good performance so by him. And obviously we had Home by the Lead I think he touched the maximum price on the exchanges in winning the Lismullen, in which To be fair, Florence Porter was a little bit disappointing. It was a better run from Henry de Bromhead's horse, who looked like he might be coming back to something like his best, maybe if he stays over hurdles this year. But yeah, that was about it from Navan and Naas. Gordon Elliott in really good form. I'll just be a little bit worried going forward about ground conditions in these coasts, particularly at Leopardstown at Christmas, because you're going to have to water. If we don't get rain, it's just not going to ever get to winter ground this winter, and that's going to be disappointing because Willie Mullins is going to pull out a lot of horses.
Yeah, certainly will be. I can see them wanting to look after their horses, not get them in just so early on in the season. Just to touch on that Lismon and Hurdle race, what were your thoughts on Bob Ollinger?
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't think of his name there, Bob Ollinger. I thought it was much better. And if he's not going to go back over fences, which I probably don't think he will, he looks like a horse that could be the last horse off the bridle in a stairs hurdle sort of thing. Anyway.
Yeah, is there a chance that Home by the Leash is improving? I mean, I don't think you'll remember this, Johnny, but I actually put it up for Stayers Hurdle last year at like 66
I
to 1.
do,
Do you remember?
now, actually, yeah.
I was banging on. I think I messaged you about Home by the Lee and said, do you think it's going to go to the Stayers? And you said to me that you did. But there was a run last year. I can't remember what collateral form it had, but it had decent collateral form. It might have been with like the Devil's Coachman or.
Yeah, it was second in the Galmoy as well, so it did have.
Oh
decent
yeah, sorry,
form.
that was the one.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Ashdale Bob. So it kind of ran all the way around the outside that day. Didn't get the ideal run. All the action was up the near side rather than the far side. And I really fancied it going into the stage where it ran decent racing to 6th, ran its kind of biggest RPR performance yet. But there's a chance that this horse is just improving. I obviously missed it this day, so I was kind of 9 months too early on the Home by the Lead train. But I thought that Bob Ollinger was encouraging. He's always had that high head carriage. People saying, "Oh, he's not putting it in." I even saw someone on Twitter saying he needs to be retired, which is the biggest load of nonsense I've ever heard in my life, considering he's beat the rest of the field by many lengths. So yeah, I think it was encouraging and a step back in the right direction for Bob Ollinger. But I think that Home by the League could be one to properly watch in the season to come, to be honest, as opposed to just saying that it was a nothing race.
Yeah, in hindsight, he probably shouldn't have been the price he was. There were question marks about everything in the race, but I mean, he was 1,000 effectively at one stage, so it is what it is. We also have big racing coming up the weekend. How many will take part in the Betfair Chase? We'll see. I'd have reservations about the runners in Ireland as well, because Morgiana has a lot of sort of two stables effectively represented, and we'll see what the ground is like. On the football front, though, Arsenal just keep on doing it. Comprehensive 2-0 win of Wolves. And the Man City situation is quite interesting now, where there's an air of vulnerability about them.
Oh, yeah, the even more interesting situation at the moment is the developing situation at Man United, isn't
Yes.
it? I mean, this whole Ronaldo saga, which is obviously broken last night. We're filming at 1:40 on Monday. So this broke late last night with Piers Morgan getting the big scoop. He was tweeting about it. He was trying to rinse it for everything it's worth, which is fair enough. Where he's had a sit-down chat with Ronaldo, who's essentially said that he feels betrayed by the club. The club's not gone forward in its technological advances. They've still got the same hot tubs, jacuzzi, showers that they had when he was there when he was 21. He feels betrayed by the manager, and he's kind of slagging off the manager to a certain extent. And this has obviously led to a bit of a whirlwind with Man United fans and football fans in general. What's your thought on the whole saga? Was it the right thing to do for Ronaldo? Was it the wrong thing to do for Ronaldo?
It's funny this happened in the sense of yesterday, as Wajaha goes into 1-3 from about 4-5 as we look at this at Plumpton. There was Sunday Times had Piers Morgan's diary of his TV show just put into print yesterday as its kind of lead ad in the culture section. But everything about Piers Morgan, I thought it was a brilliant read, and he's very, very witty. And there's a lot of anecdotes about him and Donald Trump and Tyson Fury and all these characters. But I had no idea Ronaldo was featuring that night. And I think Ronaldo's had an absolute horror show here. He's clearly regressing as a player. He's behaved like a petulant child this year. The fact that he invoked his own child in terms of the narrative is a bit of a joke, I think. And he should never have been signed by Man United. Who would want to price up a market on where he goes next? Not Starsports, I'd imagine.
Oh, I don't know about that, because we've got the market on the site, which is Cristiano Ronaldo's club after the January transfer window. So Lisbon are in here at 7-4. We originally went 5-2, and we saw a bit of money at 5-2. So we're 7-4 Lisbon, 3-1 Chelsea. Any MLS club is 5-1. Man United is 5. So if you just fancy him to stay there, I mean, obviously he could have no club because they could terminate his contract, or it could happen by
Oh
mutual
yeah,
consent. We've not priced up no club; it will just be void if he's at no club. But if he's just going to stay at Man United, he's 5-1. Then you're 10-1 bar. That's Napoli and PSG, and 14 bar that. So that's how we price it up. I completely agree with you, to be honest, that it was just the wrong thing to do. I mean, it kind of has echoes of what Roy Keane did, but on a massive magnified
yeah.
scale in social media these days. Roy Keane was on Man United TV, wasn't he? Kind of being critical of players, whereas Ronaldo's gone on to slag the whole establishment, and he's gone to a very, very volatile character to do it. Yeah, he has to be gone. It has to be untenable at United. That's why we're a bit bigger price United than some others probably will be. I think he could go to an MLS club or maybe Sporting Lisbon. I mean, Chelsea will just be whether Todd Bowley just goes and does a Todd Bowley type of thing and just signs him just to get your shirt sales and kind of his ego out there. But yeah, it's a
That's
bit
been
of a
mentioned
mad.
to me by a Chelsea fan or two, but that would undermine the new management team so much. You are under a little bit of pressure. It would make an absolute joke. And Ronaldo is done as a player at this level now. I mean, let's be honest. Unless you can use him sparingly, and there's too much of a caveat now with his attitude.
Yeah, I mean, and the talk of him coming to Arsenal was absolute nonsense, isn't it? I mean, look at
Oh,
the whole mantra of Arteta and Edu of bringing in young, upcoming players, maybe blending in a little bit of experience, but still young experience with Jesus and Zinchenko,
laughable.
still big young players. I mean, it's just never going to happen, and I hope it never does happen because you certainly don't want to upset the rhythm, but you don't want to upset the rhythm when you're 5 points clear at the top of the league and you've not been there for years. So,
Exactly.
so that's the whole Cristiano Ronaldo saga. But just moving back to the Premier League, obviously Arsenal are 5 points clear at the top of the league, which I didn't think I'd be saying. And we're into the shortest we've been for Yonks at 9-4 Arsenal,
Wow.
2-5 City, 2-5 City, Newcastle 33-1, 35-1, Liverpool 50 bar. I did say during trade chat recently that I think there's a big naivety around people that I think that they just think City are going to go and win the league by 15 points. See Gary Neville saying it. I know he's starting to down himself a little bit now, and he has to. But 2-5 City is a bit more reasonable, to be honest. But when they've been 1-5, people are thinking it's just been a throwaway comment that they're just going to go miles clear. And it's like, well, actually, let's just look at the performances this season. They have shown doubts.
They have.
Fulham, Newcastle, Crystal Palace.
They lost to Liverpool away as well when Liverpool weren't even going well.
Well, yeah, exactly. So there have been these performances there. So it has been threatening to happen. And then obviously it's gone and happened at the weekend with Brentford. So yeah, so Arsenal are into 9-4. That's how we sit at the end of this kind of mid-season break in terms of the Premier League. I'll just tell you how we are at in terms of our book for the Premier League so far before we kind of put a little bookmark in the Prem and then we go to look at the World Cup because obviously that is what we're heading into now. So Spurs would be big losers, West Ham would be big losers, United would be small losers, and Arsenal would be small losers. You can see what prices we've laid Arsenal here. We've laid a little bit of 33, a little bit of 50, 12. We've laid them at shorts 9-2 for a decent sum as well. So it actually doesn't look too bad a bet now, to be honest. But 9-2 is the shortest that we've actually laid Arsenal, even though we're now 9-4. Just looking at Plumpton, it looks like this Wahaj is going to absolutely go dot up, isn't it? I can see you looking up as well.
Back accordingly. Yeah, it never
Yeah.
sleeps. Even on a sleepy Monday at 1:30, you're all over it.
There you go. It might make more sense now, but the first one maybe went that way in the market. It might have been a little bit of a distraction potentially for this one, but you never really know.
Who knows?
I guess a free on shot is obliged to go and win how it likes, isn't it? So, yeah. So just go back to football. I think we probably need to move on to the World Cup now. Now that one's jumped on the last, I can close the I can close the Plumpton screen and just accept that Charles Burns horse has gone on 1 and the 140 at Plumpton. Just about to jump the last, and he's there. So World Cup, Johnny, outright betting. We are 4-1 Brazil, 5-1 Argentina, 13-2 France, 17-2 England, 17-2 Spain, and 10-1 Netherlands, then 11 bar. In terms of offers for the World Cup, the main offer we have is money back as a free bet if your team fails to reach the quarterfinals. I believe that is up to 50 quid. So do take a look at that one. If you go to the website or on the app, we have all of the offers just along the top. You can scroll across with a swipe of your finger. We're also going to do 2 boosts a day for the World Cup in the lead up, that kind of World Cup countdown boosts. Today's is Kane to score over 3.5 goals in the tournament. What price would you have that one in off the top of your head? This could make us look pretty poor now if you say a huge price for it.
Who's their group again?
Iran, USA, and is it Wales? Maybe
4 to 5.
So we've boosted to 6-4.
Okay.
So a decent little boost there. We think that 3.5 is kind of the pick'em line, and we've obviously boosted that to 6-4. So pretty fair price there. And then we've also got Kane, Mbappe, and Neymar to score over 13.5 combined goals. That's in there at 8-1. So pretty big price there. You think Kane, Mbappe, and Neymar score a combined 14 goals or more?
And one of them is going to have a disappointing tournament, you'd imagine. So, I mean, he or she will just realize, yeah, this is a joke of a tournament, and I'm just not showing up.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I fancy Neymar to go very close in the kind of top goal scorer market, though. So if I'm along those lines and you've got Kane and Mbappe backing you up, this is never the worst thing. And if you want to get involved at 8-1, not a bad price to be paying that for a bet for the tournament. But those are just a couple of countdown boosts that we've got today. They're going to be different ones every single day, so check them out. As I say, they'll be on our kind of carousel, which spins around at the top of the app or at the top of the website. So just keep an eye on that. In terms of the book for the World Cup and how we look currently, we obviously laid that very big bet on Netherlands, which was 100,000 at 12-1. We've also laid a couple of smaller bets at 10-1, but nothing to that size. So over £1 million they lose us to the Netherlands. England would be our second worst result, as you would expect, but it's actually a decent winner in the book because of the bet on Netherlands. The most bets have been on England, but only marginally over Spain, weirdly. We've been top price England for a very long time now. We've been 9-1 and 17-2, but a fair bit done on England. And then Spain would be the next in, and then we win plenty if the field win. You go Uruguay, Portugal, then Brazil. So the market leaders, Brazil, actually do us a bit of a favour. We've got loads of markets now up with the World Cup. If you take a look, we've got, just having a look here, just going to bring over to this screen so I can get a better look at it. We've got all the top team goal scorers, which I know is a very fun market to get involved in. These are markets that we talk about in the office quite a bit, like who's going to be the top team goal scorers, and you kind of perm them in multis and stuff like that. But we've priced them up on the website. We've also got some markets that other bookmakers won't have. We've got goal scored match bets between teams. England versus France. France are actually favourites there. You've got Germany versus Netherlands, Belgium versus Portugal, Poland versus Serbia. Loads of different ones to get involved in there. We've got total goals from Premier League players. We've gone over underline there. We've got the line in at 30.5 for every single Premier League player. And what's the total going to be? 10 to 11 each of two. Which Premier League teams players will score the most goals? 5-2 to field there. That's City obviously being favourites with plenty of their players going. Chelsea second in at 9-2, and then your 5-1 bar. So we've got so many different kind of niche markets as opposed to what other bookies will have. So do check these out. Just one more that I want to finish on here. We've got the goal scorer pairs making a return, which we tend to do for the Premier League at the start of the season. We've got Memphis Depay and Kai Havertz in there at 5-1. Neymar and Morata are 6-1. And Mbappe and Bale, what a combination that is, at 13-2. Messi and Suarez, the dream team back together, at 13-2. Vinicius Junior and Lewandowski are 13-2. And then you are 7-1 bar, and that is the Tottenham duo, Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. So a few different kind of niche markets to get involved in terms of the World Cup. We're going to have those two boosts each day. We've got the offers going. If you want to open an account with us to get involved with these markets, call up through the office or just do it via the app. And then you can come straight through to us and hopefully get your bets on.
Yeah, do check that offer with the nifty back. If it were all to go Pete Hong for you before the end, because it's a hard World Cup to call, and for many of us, it's a hard World Cup to actually get motivated by. But I'm not an England fan, and obviously, if you do want to get motivated, a bet does help. Let's be honest about things. We do have a little video though from the 19 Star Sports shops, Flynn, and they're gonna just give a little version about each team here.
And our World Cup odds: Brazil 9-2.
Hi, welcome to Kingston upon Thames.
We're 6-1 France.
Welcome to Kingswood Bristol. We are 7-1 Argentina.
It's coming home. 9-1 best price England here at Burnley-on-Sea. Come on, you Lions.
Welcome to Star Sports platform. And our World Cup odds 8-1 Spain.
Cheltenham calling. Germany 10-1.
Welcome to Harrow Road, where Netherlands are 10-1.
Welcome to Scarborough,
And our World Cup odds, Belgium 14 to 1.
I'm Preston North Lane with 14 to 1 for Portugal.
Welcome to Rotherham. 28 to 1, Denmark.
Welcome to Hyde in Kent. We're 50 to 1 Croatia.
Starsports 11 June, 50 to 1 Uruguay. Vamos Celeste!
Here at Reading we have Senegal at 80 to 1.
Here at Mitcham, we're offering 80 to 1 for Switzerland to win the World Cup.
Welcome to Clapper! At Clapper, we're offering you 100 to 1 for Mexico to win the World Cup.
Hi, from Pickering. Poland is 100 to 1.
Serbia, 100 to 1 at Tower Bridge Road.
Here at Liverpool, we're 100 to 1 on the USA.
And finally, here in Cwmbran, we're 150 to 1 Wales, our home team. Come on, boys!
The 19 shops given, that's just a team price for all the teams in the World Cup. Maybe Brazil will be motivated by the Qatari fans who are effectively paid to become Brazil fans for the tournament. I'm intrigued as to what the atmosphere is going to be like at some of these games. It's all a bit mad. But if England win, and, you know, England usually give Irish people an interest in these tournaments because invariably we're not there. Thanks for today, Flynn.
No problem at all. I'm sure you'll be cheering the English on when they're out there, won't you?
I would have I generally would have cheered against England, but not so much anymore. I actually don't. I don't mind Gareth Southgate, and I don't mind this England team at all. Yeah. So we were watching back Sky documentaries last night, the World Cup of 1990. What an amazing documentary! Only one episode in, and the English fans were coming back off sort of the problems of the 80s, and they were really, really hard handled by the Italian police. Initially in outside Cagliari when they were in Palermo, and then when they moved on to Bologna. So I think those days are kind of over. And having come from the Cup final in Ireland yesterday, crowd trouble certainly isn't unique to England. But that was Trader Chat. We ended up in a total tangent there. So check out the website. Loads of offers on the World Cup. And Cheltenham might look a little bit more. There might be a little bit more clarity after the weekend we've had. Check out the website for all details.